revealed Billionaire Heir's incredible transformation after falling for a woman who mocked him. The charity gala was in full swing, the sound of clinking champagne glasses and laughter echoing against the walls of the luxurious rooftop venue overlooking Central Park. Ethan Blackwell, a 28-year-old billionaire heir, stood among the elite, feeling every bit the marionette pulled by strings of privilege. Tonight, however, the facade he wore felt tighter than usual. He looked out across the twinkling skyline and felt an emptiness that the finest suits and expensive shoes could never mask. As he made his way through the crowd, he hoped for a genuine connection. Then, she arrived, Sarah, a spunky waitress balancing a tray of hors d'oeuvres. As she maneuvered through the crowd, Ethan's heart raced. He tried to offer her some charming lines about his wealth, but she raised an eyebrow and leaned in, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Wow, did your parents teach you that one? I've heard 6-year-olds with better material. The laughter that erupted around them was thunderous, echoing off the glass walls, sending waves of embarrassment crashing over Ethan. He felt exposed, his carefully crafted image unraveling in an instant. The sting of her words dug deep, but what followed was something he never expected. It sparked an awakening. For the first time in his life, his strings felt cut. Maybe they had always been severed, and he just hadn't realized. What if he could break free from the gilded cage of expectation his parents had built for him? That night marked a turning point as he slipped away from the gala with a renewed spirit. For once, he wanted to fight for something real. Determined, Ethan began volunteering at a local community center and supporting struggling small businesses. Each conversation with veterans, each smile exchanged with neighborhood children, chipped away at the cold, polished shell he'd been encased in his entire life. But as he immersed himself in this new world, he faced backlash from his privileged friends, who couldn't fathom why someone of his status would dare mingle with those people. Yet, Sarah watched him with curiosity. She saw him for who he was trying to become, not the billionaire heir the city expected him to be. Despite their different worlds, an undeniable connection blossomed. They began to share late-night talks over coffee, bonding over their struggles. Sarah opened up about her father's failing health, the weight of her family's financial burdens pushing her to work 2 jobs. Ethan listened, understanding deepened by her candor, but as he ventured further away from his family's legacy, whispers of discontent began to stir. What is the matter with Ethan? They murmured. Is he choosing a life of mediocrity? But the hardest judgment came from within. His parents demanded he step back, insisting his path was a betrayal of everything they'd built. Torn between loyalty and the desire to uncover his authentic self, Ethan stood at a crossroads wrestling with his heart and heritage. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the gala lights dimmed and laughter turned to whispers, a deeper ache stirred in Ethan. A family betrayal loomed ahead, threatening not only his sense of belonging, but also the blossoming love he shared with Sarah. He could hear the distant echoes of laughter behind him, yet ahead lay uncertainty and a tangled web of choices that would define his future. Would he cling to the life handed to him, or would he dare to forge his own destiny? With a heart pounding with hope and fear, Ethan took a breath, ready to step into the unknown, where both love and truth awaited. Ethan felt the pulse of the city beneath his feet as he stepped away from the gala's glimmer. The neon lights and star-studded sky felt almost like a siren's song, beckoning him back to that comfortable life, but he resisted. He was ready to claim his own path, even if it meant taking the hard road ahead. The next day, Ethan found himself standing outside the community center. His stomach twisted in knots. Would people judge him? Would they see him as an imposter? He took a breath, forcing himself to walk inside, the door creaking as it swung open. The interior was a flurry of colors and laughter, children darting around, their joy contagious. As he approached the front desk, a woman with kind eyes looked up. "You must be Ethan. We've heard a lot about you." Her voice held warmth, a contrast to the cold whispers he had faced from his old friends. "We appreciate you being here. Let us get you started." He received a crash course in volunteer activities, tutoring kids, organizing events, and even helping serve meals. Each task grounded him further in this community that welcomed him with open arms. With every smile shared and high five received, Ethan felt pieces of his old life fall away, replaced with fresh hope. But the struggles were real. One afternoon, while leading a small group in art activities, a boy named Marco hesitated, staring down at his canvas. "I don't think I can do it," he mumbled. Ethan crouched down beside him, determination in his eyes. "You can. I believe in you." "Why?" You're rich," Marco replied, sounding confused. "People like you don't care about us." Ethan was taken aback, the boy's words echoing his own fears. "You know, I used to think like that. But I learned that being rich doesn't make someone better than anyone else. We all have our battles to fight. I want to fight alongside you." After a moment of silence, Marco looked up, a flicker of hope igniting. "Okay, I'll try." Slowly, he began to draw, the colors bursting onto the canvas. Ethan's heart swelled. This was it, real connection. Every visit to the center reinforced his new purpose, yet thoughts of Sarah lingered like the sweet scent of blooming flowers. He missed her laughter, the way she challenged him. They hadn't seen each other since that night at the gala, and the yearning for her was almost unbearable. Finally, drawing on courage he never knew he had, he decided it was time to see her. He found her at the cafe where she worked, wiping tables with a focused grace. The moment their eyes met, a burst of warmth radiated through him. "Hey, Sarah," he said softly, feeling the words swirl in his chest. Her eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" "I wanted to talk. I've been thinking about you." Her expression shifted from surprise to skepticism, making his heart race. "Is this about what happened at the gala?" "No," Ethan rushed. "It's about who I want to be. I want you to know I'm changing, and I hope you can see that." Yet even as he spoke, doubt wove through his thoughts. Could she truly understand his journey? Or was he still just the wealthy heir who once tried to impress her with silly lines? "I'd like to know more," she replied slowly, her expression softening just a bit. As they settled into a corner of the cafe, Ethan opened up about his new life, sharing stories of volunteering and the kids who inspired him. Sarah leaned in, her interest radiating. But just when it seemed like they were on the brink of something more, a call from Ethan's family shattered his moment of clarity. "Ethan, we need to talk. It's about your future." The urgency in his mother's voice gnawed at his heart. What future awaited him? One crafted by his family, or one forged by his own hands? As uncertainty crept back, he struggled to find an answer, his heart now pulled in two directions. He glanced at Sarah, whose eyes were filled with questions and a flicker of understanding. Would she be the reason he finally chose his own path? Ethan took a deep breath, and just as he was about to respond, his phone buzzed with a message that spelled out the confrontation awaiting him. Could he face his family and still forge his own destiny, or would the weight of expectation pull him back under? Ethan's fingers trembled as he held his phone, staring at the message blinking back at him. The weight of his family's expectations felt heavier than ever, pressing against his chest like a lead weight. How could he choose between the life expected of him and the path he truly desired? "Everything okay?" Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts, gentle yet curious. Her concern wrapped around him, easing the tension in his shoulders. He could see the question in her eyes, a mixture of hope and uncertainty. "Just family stuff. They want me to come home." His words were clipped, reality crashing in on the moment they were beginning to share. He felt a wave of disappointment at the thought of pulling away from her again. "Family as in business?" she asked, tilting her head slightly. Ethan nodded. It was the same old story, a narrative etched in his life since birth, the family's legacy. Wealth, power, the business empire that seemed as suffocating as it was enticing. "Yeah, they want to discuss my future," he said, the last word dripping with irony. Sarah frowned, her brow furrowing with empathy. "You don't have to go if you don't want to. Not anymore." Her eyes shone with a fierce determination that stirred something deep within him. "I know," but his voice trailed off, caught between what had been ingrained in him and the freedom that felt so close yet impossibly far. "Ethan," she said firmly, leaning closer. "What do you really want? Not what they want, what do you want?" Her words hit him like a bolt of lightning. His heart raced as he considered the question, the depth of it opening up layers he hadn't dared to touch. He wanted to be free of the chains, to help those kids at the center, to feel alive. I want to keep doing this, Sarah. I want to make a difference. His voice cracked slightly, but I don't know if I can leave it all behind. Her expression softened further, the skepticism beginning to melt away. You're more than just your family's name, Ethan. You're choosing to be here, and that takes courage. That matters. Suddenly, the cafe felt constricting. The laughter and chatter of customers faded, blurring in the background. The call from his family loomed large, but the spark in Sarah's eyes urged him to stand firm. With every fiber of his being, he felt the longing to break free, to build a life where his actions spoke louder than legacy. What if they don't accept me if I choose this? That's their issue, not yours, Sarah replied, her voice resolute. You deserve to be happy, Ethan. She reached out, her hand brushing against his. It sent warmth surging through him, grounding him in this moment. But before he could respond, his phone buzzed again, this time more frantically. A message from his mother now ominously declaring, "This is urgent. You need to prioritize your family." The dread rolled in his stomach like a storm cloud. I just don't know what they'll say if I don't go. Then go, but be honest, Sarah encouraged, her grip tightening around his. Show them who you are becoming. You can't be afraid to follow your heart. As he processed her words, a flicker of determination bloomed within him. What if he could face them, not as the heir to their kingdom, but as a man forging his own destiny? Suddenly, his phone buzzed one last time, a notification from the community center's group chat. We're counting on you, Ethan. It read, filled with encouragement. In that moment, he felt empowered. His heart raced with the thrill of possibility. Could he truly do both? Face his family and stay true to himself? As determination settled across his face, he looked at Sarah. I need to go, but I'll be back. I promise. Don't forget what we talked about, she said softly, her voice lingering like a melody in his mind. He nodded, feeling the warmth of her words carry him forward. But as he turned to leave, a question echoed in his mind. Was he really ready to confront the life that had been written for him? Or would he fight for the story he wanted to tell? Ethan stepped out into the street, every beat of his heart a drum roll for the confrontation. Ahead, would he have the courage to redefine who he was? And what awaited him when he faced the family that had always shaped his every decision? The drive back to his childhood home felt longer than it ever had before. Ethan gripped the steering wheel, the leather cool and stiff beneath his fingers. Each mile felt laden with memories, reminders of family dinners punctuated by conversation, laced with expectations he'd grown tired of. He could almost hear the echoes of his parents' voices, laying out their dreams for him like a freshly pressed suit meant to fit his every move that he parked in the driveway, taking a moment to gather himself. The sprawling mansion loomed ahead, a fortress of wealth and power. As he stepped out of the car, his pulse quickened. Shadows danced in his mind, visions of the life his family had envisioned for him, a life filled with prestige, yet marked by sacrifice. As he crossed the threshold, the familiar scent of polished wood and aged leather wrapped around him like a blanket. But comfort soon dissipated, replaced by tension. His parents awaited him in the grand living room, an expansive space filled with portraits of ancestors who had built this legacy. Today, their gaze felt sharper, more dissecting. Ethan. His mother's voice rang out, a harmonious blend of warmth and authority. She enveloped him in a hug, a momentary reprieve from the storm of doubt brewing in his mind. Mom, he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. The words felt like slipping through a crack in a door he had tried to keep closed for too long. Your father's very excited to discuss everything with you, she continued, stepping back and searching his eyes for reassurance. The atmosphere shifted as Ethan's father entered the room, an imposing figure with a gaze that commanded attention. Ah, my son, he said, clapping his hands together. Good to see you made it. We have a lot to discuss. Ethan forced a smile, feeling as though his true identity was already slipping under the weight of their expectations. He nodded in agreement, but kept his thoughts to himself. Your mother, and I think it's time you stepped up, his father said without preamble. You're not a boy anymore. It's time to take your rightful place in the business. The words hung heavy in the air, suffocating him. I appreciate that, Dad, but it's not just about what you want, Ethan. His father interrupted, his voice rising like the tide. This is about family obligations, the legacy you were born into. With the upcoming merger, we need you involved. Ethan felt his heart drop. He could hear Sarah's words echoing in his mind, urging him to stay true to himself. The warmth of his conversation with her contrasted wildly with the cold reality of the situation unfolding in front of him. "Dad, there's something I need to tell you," he began, gauging their reactions, bracing for impact. "I've been working at the community center, helping out kids of that where I want to focus my energy." A palpable silence fell. His father's brow furrowed, confusion swirling with disappointment. "Is that what this is about? You want to throw away your future for this?" His mother looked away, her expression strained. "Ethan, you know how hard we worked to build this for you, no, Mom." Ethan's voice cut through the air, louder than he intended. "I can't just simply follow in your footsteps if it means sacrificing who I am. I want to make a difference." His words felt liberating yet terrifying. The air crackled in the aftermath of his outburst, an invisible tension surrounding them. Ethan's heart raced. Would they understand? Could he stand tall against the tide of their disappointment? His father leaned back, arms crossed, eyes narrowing. "You need to understand the importance of our name first." Ethan squared his shoulders, determination coursing through him. "And you need to understand that it's my life, not just a legacy. I'm sorry, but I want to be your puppet." The silence that followed was deafening. As the walls began to close in, Ethan felt an unexpected surge of strength. He wasn't alone. Sarah was with him, her conviction fueling his desire to fight. But behind the hard looks lay uncertainty. Would they ever accept him for who he really wanted to become? Just then, a small noise broke the tension. His phone buzzed. Glancing at the screen, Ethan's heart stuttered. It was a message from Sarah. "No matter the outcome, remember who you are." As his parents fell silent, Ethan realized he was standing at a crossroads. Would he forge ahead and risk everything for his truth, or would he retreat into the safety of his legacy? The question loomed heavy in his thoughts as he braced for what was next. Would this confrontation bring him closer to understanding his identity, or would it widen the chasm that had always existed between him and his family? The silence stretched, suffocating and thick. Ethan could feel the weight of his parents' stares, the pressure building in his chest. He swallowed hard, trying to push back the flood of emotions that threatened to spill over. His father broke the quiet first, his voice low and measured, like a storm brewing in the distance. "Ethan, this isn't just about you. It's about the future of our family. You must understand the sacrifices that have been made to get us here." The disappointment in his tone was a sharp knife, cutting deeper than any argument he could muster. "Sacrifices?" Ethan retorted, the frustration bubbling to the surface. "What sacrifices?" "The ones where you expected me to follow a path laid out since I was born. I want a different life, Dad. One that means something to me." Each word felt like stepping stones toward a precarious edge, his mother's hands clasped tightly in front of her. "Ethan, we only want what's best for you," she started, her voice trembling slightly, a tight rope trying to balance love and expectation. "We've given you everything." "Everything?" Ethan shot back, his pulse racing. "You mean everything but the freedom to choose my own path. You see what you built, but you don't see me." He took a deep breath, sensing the gravity of what he was saying, but he couldn't hold back now. "You don't see how stifling it is to be in your shadow, always being what you want me to be." A flicker of hurt passed across his mother's face, but his father's expression hardened. "You think you can just walk away from your responsibilities? From our legacy?" "Maybe I can," Ethan said, the flames of resolve igniting within him. He stepped forward, refusing to shrink back. "Maybe I don't want to be your success story anymore. Maybe I want to find my own." The words hung in the air, electrifying yet heavy. The tension shifted, palpable and charged. His father looked at him, that imposing figure now a weary mass of disappointment. "You would choose this over everything we've built?" "Dad, this is my life," Ethan said, the firmness in his voice now unmistakable. "I'm tired of pretending. If my life means sacrificing my happiness for a business merger, then I want to do it." Across the room, his mother stepped closer, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Ethan, please," she said, her voice breaking. "We love you. We just want you to have a secure future. I want to make a difference where it counts, in lives, not just numbers. Ethan's heart ached as he met his mother's gaze. Can't you understand that? A long moment passed, silence wrapping around them again. In that stillness, he noticed the portraits staring down at him, their expressions unchanging, burdened with decades of expectation. But for the first time, it felt as if they were watching an unfolding story not of success or legacy, but of choice and freedom. Ethan turned his attention back to his parents, their expressions a mixture of shock and resignation. "I think it's time for me to leave," he said softly, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. As he stepped towards the door, his heart raced. Would they stop him? Did his words really change anything? Ethan, his mother's voice trailed off, but he didn't want to hear the rest. Walking away felt like letting the world fall in on itself. Then, the silence was broken again, but not by his family. His phone buzzed a second time. He glanced down and saw another message from Sarah. This one simple yet warming. "I believe in you." It was both an anchor and a lifeline, propelling Ethan toward the uncertainty waiting beyond the door. He had just set off on a path that diverged significantly from everything he had known. Standing with his hand on the doorknob, he took a deep breath, ready to step into the unknown, a choice he had never expected to make. What awaited him on the other side? Would the battle for his identity bring him closer to Sarah and the life he craved? With determination etched on his face, he opened the door, the cool air brushing against his skin like a whispered promise of change. As he stepped outside, a new question surfaced. Could he truly pave his own way, or would the winds of expectation pull him back to the life he fought so hard to escape? Ethan stepped out into the crisp evening air, the coolness a refreshing contrast to the tense heat that filled the house just moments before. The door clicked shut behind him, sealing in the weight of expectations and dreams that felt like 1,000 stones pressing on his chest. He took a moment to pause, taking in the familiar sights: the old maple tree in their yard, the way the street lamps flickered to life as days shifted to night. It was comforting and foreign all at once. He pulled out his phone, fingers hovering over Sarah's message. "I believe in you." It was just a handful of words, but they wrapped around him like a warm embrace, lifting the heaviness left by his parents. With a deep breath, he texted back, "I need to talk." He started walking, letting his feet carry him to the coffee shop where they often met. With each step, Ethan felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Did he really have the courage to embrace the life he wanted? As he walked, the chill in the air grew sharper, biting through his thin jacket and reminding him of the weight he'd left behind. Images of his parents' faces flickered in his mind, the hurt, the disappointment, but also the love. But he couldn't dwell on that now. Not when every part of him urged to keep moving forward. The coffee shop came into view, its warm lights spilling out onto the sidewalk. Just beyond the door, a handful of patrons sat huddled over their drinks, and he spotted Sarah by the window, her head bent over a book. The sight caused a ripple of warmth through him, a feeling completely at odds with the cold weight of his family's expectations. Ethan pushed the door open, the bell overhead chiming softly. As soon as Sarah looked up, her smile cut through the noise inside his head. It was genuine, brightening the room more than the overhead lights. He crossed the floor in quick strides, pulled in by the energy between them. "Hey," he said, settling into the chair across from her, trying to shake off the lingering tension. "Hey," she replied, eyes twinkling with curiosity. "What is going on? You look different." Her observation sent a shiver of vulnerability through him. "I just talked to my parents." The smile faltered a fraction as her brow furrowed with concern. "And they want me to take over the family business. They don't understand why I can't just fit into that mold." A moment of silence passed, during which Ethan could feel Sarah processing his words. Then, she leaned forward, resting her chin in her hands. "What do you want, Ethan?" The question hung in the air, as heavy as the one he'd faced earlier. "I want to do something real. Something that matters." The words spilled out before he could second-guess them. "I want to help people, not just make money." For a moment, her gaze softened, and he could see the sincerity in her eyes. "That is amazing. But it takes courage to walk away from everything you've known." "The hardest part is letting my family down," he admitted, his voice dropping low. "But staying would mean losing who I am. I can't do that." Sarah reached across the table, her fingers brushing against his. It felt electric, fueling his determination. "Then you have to chase after that. You have me in your corner." Her support felt like a lifeline in tumultuous waters. It brought clarity to the chaos he'd just walked away from. But what if they never understand? What if this path leads to nowhere? "Then you'll learn and grow along the way," she replied, squeezing his hand gently. "Life doesn't come with guarantees, but it does come with possibilities." Her words ignited sparks of hope in him. Maybe she was right. He could forge his own path, and perhaps in doing so, he could even mend the fractures at home. The coffee shop suddenly felt too small, holding him in a bubble of safety that could only grow so big. With a newfound resolve swelling within him, he took a deep breath. "I need to talk to them again. A real conversation, not just a fight. They deserve to know how I feel, even if it's hard." Sarah smiled widely, pride shining through her eyes. "That sounds like a good start." As the warmth of optimism settled in, he couldn't shake a lingering fear of feeling that returning home might open old wounds that had yet to heal. Would facing his parents again change everything for better or worse? A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. He turned to see a familiar face, someone from his past, standing there with a knowing grin. "Ethan, there you are?" The room spun as uncertainties swirled in his chest. How would this unexpected encounter affect everything he'd just begun to piece together? Ethan's heart raced as he turned to face the figure now stepping toward him. Lucas, his old high school friend, the one he'd lost touch with after graduation. Lucas had always seemed to navigate life with effortless charm, the kind of guy who could make friends with anyone. But the sight of him now, with that confident smile and easy laugh, stirred a mixture of nostalgia and anxiety in Ethan. "Wow, it's been ages," Lucas continued, his voice booming across the small coffee shop. "You look intense. What is going on?" "Hey, Lucas," Ethan replied, swallowing hard as the weight of his emotions collided with the pleasant surprise of seeing his old friend. "Just dealing with some family stuff." Lucas plopped down into the chair next to him without invitation, his energy filling the space around them. Ethan noticed Sarah's expression shift, uncertainty glimmering in her eyes as she observed the interruption. "Family drama," Lucas exclaimed with a dismissive wave, his attention turning fully to Ethan. "Come on, man. You know I've got stories that would make your troubles seem like a walk in the park." He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed in a casual manner that belied the intensity of Ethan's situation. "Actually, it's a little more complicated than that," Ethan said, his chest tightening. "Complicated is my life," Lucas declared, punctuating his claim with a laugh that rang out like a bell. "You have all the potential in the world. Just throw some money at it or call in a favor. It's easy." Ethan found himself frowning at the thought. While Lucas had always approached life with a money-can-fix-this attitude, the reality he faced felt different and far more personal. "It's not about money for me. It's about choosing my own path." The smile on Lucas's face faltered for just a beat. "Right, but you have to admit, it's an option. I mean, it's what I did when I decided against that corporate job. I'm making it big on my terms, after all." Sarah, seemingly fed up with the one-sided turn in their conversation, looked at Ethan with encouragement. "What did you want to be, Ethan?" Caught off guard, he pondered for a moment. "It's not that simple," he began slowly. "It's more than just a job. I want to help people, to make a difference." Lucas leaned closer, suddenly serious. "You shouldn't have to sacrifice happiness for some kind of noble cause. Be real with me. Does helping people pay the bills?" Ethan's frustration bubbled. "It's about a legacy, Lucas. I'm willing to fight for something greater, even if it disappoints my parents along the way." The reply hung between them, thickening the air. Lucas opened his mouth to respond, but Ethan interrupted, rising from his seat. "I appreciate you wanting to help, but I really do have to go home and have a conversation that matters." "Wait," Lucas called out, slightly panicked. "You don't need to rush in there. You should think it through, feel it out. A little back and forth never hurt anyone." Ethan turned back, determination flaring on his face. "This isn't logic, Lucas. It's my heart." He looked around the coffee shop and met Sarah's gaze once more, grounding him. "I'm done hiding. It's time I confront what matters." "Yeah?" But Lucas began, but Ethan could sense the familiar energy from his past draining. He stepped away, his focus locked on what lay ahead, the daunting conversation with his family that could either bridge gaps or bury him deeper. "Ethan, wait!" Lucas shouted after him, and Ethan didn't look back. Did he have the strength to change everything? As he walked toward the exit, uncertainty gripped him again. What would happen when the walls came down? How would his family react to his truth? With a hand on the door, he paused, silently battling himself. Just then, the bell tinkled softly overhead, mingling with the sudden rush of adrenaline that surged through him. Would he truly be ready for the confrontation awaiting him at home, especially after revealing his heartfelt desires? The door opened, and he stepped into the night, the cool air wrapping around him like armor. And just like that, Lucas's voice echoed in his mind. Don't let fear stop you. But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that by stepping toward one truth, he might be walking away from another. The night air was chilly, wrapping around Ethan like a heavy blanket. He drew in a deep breath, letting the fresh air fill his lungs as he stepped away from the warmth of the coffee shop. Each footfall on the sidewalk felt heavy with uncertainty, but also with a fierce resolve. He had reached the breaking point, and there was no turning back now. As he walked, the streetlights flickered overhead, illuminating the path ahead and casting long shadows that danced in the reflective pools of rain left from earlier storms. He felt a rush of emotions surge within him: fear, excitement, and a longing for acceptance. The truth would eventually creep its way into the open, and he had to be ready for it. The route back home felt longer than usual, each step echoing in his mind like a countdown. He thought of all the words he would say, the moments he would confront. Would they listen? Could they understand? His heart raced with each thought, a combination of dread and hope roaring in his chest. Arriving at his family's house, he paused on the front steps. The familiar silhouette of his childhood home loomed before him, an odd mix of comfort and anxiety. In his heart, he knew it was time to lay bare everything: his ambitions, his fears, and most importantly, his desire for a life that resonated with who he truly was. Pushing the door open, the familiar creak sent a pang of nostalgia through him. The smell of his mother's cooking wafted through the air, filling him with warmth. But there was no time for lingering on memories. He needed to focus. His parents were gathered in the living room, the comforting glow of the television illuminating their faces. They turned as he entered, the usual smiles fading as they assessed his demeanor. Something in his eyes must have signaled the gravity of the moment. "Ethan," his mother exclaimed, her voice brightening as she stood to greet him. I was just making your favorite." She trailed off, sensing the shift in Ethan's energy. "Mom, Dad, can we talk?" Ethan's voice was steadier than he felt. The way their brows furrowed in concern made his stomach twist. "I have something important to share with you." "Of course, honey," his father replied, a hint of caution in his tone. "What is it?" Ethan took a deep breath, the words pooling behind his lips like a dam ready to burst. "I'm not going to take the job at the firm. I want to make a difference, which means following my own path." Silence blanketed the room. He could almost hear his heart thundering in his chest, drowning out the ambient noise. Then, as if time slowed, his parents exchanged glances. "Ethan, what do you mean?" "The firm is a great opportunity. It's what we planned for," his dad responded, his voice rising slightly as disbelief seeped in. "It's not what I want," Ethan exclaimed, feeling the tension swell. "I want to work in social services. I've always felt drawn to it. I want to help people, not just what? Make money?" His dad interrupted, rising slightly from his seat. "Do you know how hard we work to give you the life you have? You need to think this through." Frustration bubbling over, Ethan shot back. "I've thought about it for years. You just see a successful career. I see my life stripped of who I am. If you can't understand that, then what am I fighting for?" His mother stepped in, her voice soft but firm. "Ethan, this is sudden. We just want what's best for you. But does this really mean turning your back on everything?" "No. This is me stepping forward into a future that I want." Tears pricked at the corners of his eyes as he spoke, his passion breaking through. "I need you to support me. I need you to see me for who I am." In that moment of raw honesty, he hoped they would recognize the depth of his struggle. Their expressions softened, glimmers of understanding breaking through. But just as he felt a flicker of hope ignite in his chest, the doorbell rang sharply through the silence, cutting the air thickening with emotion. Who could it be? What would they bring into this moment of reveal? Ethan's heart dropped at the sudden sound. The tension in the room thickened, pulling at each of them, and the warmth that had been gently building splintered into fragments. His parents looked at him, confusion etching their features, before shifting their attention back to the door. "Who could that be?" his dad murmured, still looking slightly bewildered. I'll get it, Ethan replied, almost mechanically, as if moving in a trance. He didn't want the moment to end. Not when he had finally found the courage to speak his truth, yet here was an interruption, one that threatened to unravel everything he had just bravely laid on the table. That he reached the door, his mind still racing with the weight of his confession. Opening it, he wasn't prepared for the sight before him, a young woman with wild curls and a bright smile that somehow felt both too bright and too jarring. "Hi, is Ethan here?" she asked, her voice cheerful, but there was a hint of uncertainty when she saw his disheveled expression. "Yes, that's me," he replied cautiously. "Can I help you?" "Oh good. I'm Kelly. I'm a friend of Alex's." She glanced over his shoulder, peering into the living room. "He mentioned you might be around. I hope I'm not interrupting." At the mention of Alex, Ethan's mind darted back to his carefree college days. Alex was his best friend, a force of nature, always spreading laughter and light. But Ethan's smile faltered as he remembered. Alex had recently started taking a more hands-on approach to life, one that involved pursuing relationships with people who could help him climb the social ladder. Ethan felt a flash of irritation at this, just as he felt the familiar pang of longing for understanding from his parents. His mother appeared then, peering over Ethan's shoulder, her cooking apron still tied around her waist. "Hello, dear. And who might you be?" "Kelly, ma am. I came to pick up Alex for dinner." She flashed a bright smile that ignited something in Ethan, a spark of connection, and for a moment he felt drawn to her energy. "Oh, that's lovely. We're just having family time," his mom replied, her tone cautious but polite. Ethan's father chimed in. "Well, we were just discussing Ethan's future." The obvious discomfort in his dad's voice cast a heavy shadow on the conversation, and Ethan felt the urge to retreat. "Oh, what about it?" she asked, leaning in with genuine curiosity. Ethan blinked, the weight of his parents' expectations still fresh in his mind. Could he share this vulnerable moment with a stranger? Yet somehow, her enthusiasm was infectious, and he felt an urge to connect. "I'm changing paths. I want to make a difference rather than pursue what's expected of me." Kelly's expression shifted to one of genuine surprise, but that spark remained fueled by a hint of admiration. "Wow, that's brave. So many people would be scared to follow their passion." Ethan's heart swelled, along with a flicker of hope. Perhaps this conversation could turn his parents' apprehension into something more positive. But he felt his father's eyes drilling into him, a silent demand for silence. "Thank you," Ethan managed, feeling more emboldened by Kelly's words. "It's hard, but I need to do this for myself." His mother nodded, though he could see the glimmer of worry still evident behind her eyes. But then Kelly stepped further into the living room, breaking the tension. "How about I help you too? I mean, if you're always giving, maybe I can support you in some way." Ethan blinked at her, confused. "Support how?" She shrugged, her expression sincere. "Maybe I can join a project of yours? It's always easier when you have someone alongside you. You know, a friend?" Ethan's heart raced. Could she really mean it? And behind him, he could sense his parents engaging too, their conversation punctuated by unclear murmurs. Would this be the moment things shifted for them all? As hope began to blossom in Ethan's chest, he felt something else, a need for clarity, a glimpse into what the future might hold. The night wasn't over, and the revelations were just beginning. What other surprises lay beyond? The door? And could Kelly be the ally he never knew he needed? The living room filled with an unexpected energy as Kelly took the tiny moment of tension and transformed it into curiosity. She shook Ethan's hand firmly, her smile both bright and sincere. "I think what you're doing is amazing. So rare in a world that just wants to value money over meaning." His heart soared a little higher hearing her words, yet he could still feel the weight of his parents' expectations swirling in the air. His mother's eyebrows were slightly arched, uncertainty etched across her face. But there was something new there too, a hint of hope. Ethan turned to his parents, trying to gauge their reactions. "This is what I've been wanting to do. It's why I can't just follow the path laid out for me." He took a deep breath. "I've got ideas for projects that can really help this community, and I want to make an impact." His father's expression softened just a touch as he observed this stranger in his home, this unexpected ally. "And how do you intend to do that?" He crossed his arms almost defensively, his chin raised as if skeptical. "I've been volunteering starting at the community center, Ethan explained, feeling himself ignite with excitement. I want to create after-school programs, maybe a mentorship program too. I want kids like Marco to know they can dream big, that their circumstances don't define them. Kelly chimed in, I can help. I study social work, and I can put together community outreach. Two heads are better than one, right? Her enthusiasm filled the empty spaces, bringing a ripple of energy that dissipated the earlier tension lingering. Ethan's mom exhaled softly, leaning against the wall. Your father and I just want the best for you, Ethan. We always thought that meant the family business, but you sound so passionate. Passion isn't something you can label with a $sign on it. Mom, Ethan said courageously, the knots in his stomach loosening slightly. You've taught me about sacrifice, true. But what about fulfillment? Yeah, exactly. Kelly exclaimed, her energy infectious. Your gifts could shine in ways you never expected. Everyone deserves a chance to find what makes them happy. Ethan caught sight of his mother's eyes glistening, hope shimmering where once there had only been worry. His father remained thoughtful but seemed to soften, the corners of his mouth lifting just a bit. Have you thought this through? He asked slowly, his arms uncrossing ever so slightly. There isn't much security in doing what you want. Life isn't guaranteed, Dad, Ethan replied candidly, the resolve growing within him. But the freedom to choose that's the true value. His father hesitated, looking between Ethan and Kelly. The silence stretched thin before the echoes of the television in the background faded away. Finally, his father spoke just above a whisper. If you truly believe this is right for you, Ethan's heart raced, ready to jump into deeper waters. I believe it is. His mother looked at him, a mix of love and concern swirling in her expression. We love you, Ethan. It's just hard for us to understand sometimes. But if you can keep that fire burning bright, maybe we can reconsider. The spark ignited a bright light not just within Ethan, but in the hearts and minds surrounding him. Suddenly, the doorbell rang again, the unexpected sound cutting through the moment once more. Awareness buzzed in the air, anticipation hanging like a thick thread. Who is that now? His father muttered, visibly irritated at having to repeat this action. Ethan approached the door again, curiosity piquing. It opened to reveal a tall, broad-shouldered figure. Alex, his best friend from college, bursting with energy. Ethan, he shouted, full of excitement. What's up, man? I heard about your plan from Kelly, and I just had to come support you. Count me in. Support? Ethan was taken aback, but his heart danced at the prospect. You're willing to join? Of course. Helping out in the community? That's what you're actually supposed to do if you have the means. Nobody should just sit on their wealth. There's a problem, and we need hands on deck to fix it. All at once, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Suddenly, voices filled the room with excitement, hearts swelling as ideas bounced back and forth. Ethan watched in awe as his parents began to engage with the group, bursting with refreshing energy. Something about this moment felt so intoxicatingly alive. Minutes turned into laughter, brainstorming sessions that felt electric and raw with possibility. Ethan burst out ideas, fueled by the support of Kelly and Alex, igniting in them a wave of ambition and unity that he never expected. It felt like building a new family based on shared passion rather than expectation. Eventually, amidst the brainstorming, he turned back to his parents. Can you give me space to explore this? Support my passion for once. His father cast a glance at his mother. Their eyes met, deep understanding vibrating. If you stay committed, his father finally nodded, sounding like the weight of a mountain had begun to shift. We'll do our best to understand your journey. After all, what is family if we can't grow together? As the warmth enveloped him, tears pricked the corners of Ethan's eyes. Thank you. The laughter continued, filling the air not just with sound, but with an intoxicating blend of hope and newfound purpose. Each moment shared became a stepping stone toward building a life defined not by money or legacy, but by impact and love. With the support of his friends and slowly, tentative acceptance from his family, Ethan felt that the chains of expectation had shattered around him. He had a new path, one based on connection, authenticity, and the relentless pursuit of purpose. In the end, it wasn't just the outcome. It was the journey alongside those who believed in him that truly transformed everything. That he smiled brightly, merging with the joy of shared laughter. envisioning the life he was set on, creating a life filled with meaning and connection. And within that moment, he remembered Sarah's words. After all, it was those we choose to surround ourselves with that inspire our greatest transformations. As the sun dipped below the skyline, the shadows lengthened, capturing the spirit of change and the promise of a brighter tomorrow, one that Ethan Blackwell was finally ready to embrace. And as the memories danced in the back of his mind, a thought crossed his heart. This was only the beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. You need to subscribe now.